Reham, good evening. Thank you for joining us once again on the broadcast. For somebody who enjoys winning the way Imran Khan does, do you think that these allegations of poll rigging are going to take the sheen off of the victory?
Thank you, Aisha, and good evening. I think that they have already, in the run-up to the elections, and then the result, which was, of course, a landslide victory in parts which are, do really raise a lot of suspicions because they're so unbelievable. The numbers from Punjab have been just so outlandish that, yes, it has already taken the sheen off glory, and certainly it doesn't look like a victory. It looks more like a fixed match, and it looks like more of something that's been given. But increasingly, if we look at the body language of Imran, he doesn't seem to look as confident and as comfortable as he used to. And I wonder, a lot of people, actually, analysts have commented that what has he had to compromise to cut this deal? Knowing him, I think that he wanted this prize so badly, and for them to just give it completely to him, not even a hung parliament, not even any coalition, but to hand over this prize to him in the way that they have, this generosity is going to cost him far more of his integrity. And so one of the signs that came this morning was, well, before we go on to that, I must mention that one of the most ludicrous results was, of course, not only the big guns of Punjab like Khwaja Saad Rafiq, Ayaz Sadiq, even Shehbaz Sharif in Karachi, being outvoted by relatively political novices, in fact younger men unheard of in the political arena. But one of the most shocking ones was a constituency which is very dear to me, NA 260 in Balochistan, and that I found out this morning was also given to PTI. And of course my main crib with all of the political parties, including Imran's, has been that they've never really visited this constituency, and it's a very long belt, and it's virtually impossible for this to be snatched away from the traditional PKMAP party, or even if it was to go to another party, it couldn't possibly go to even PMLN or the Pakistan People's Party. PTI, of course, is invisible in Balochistan.
Right.
And that's why it's had a lot of criticism. But coming back to what the compromises will be, I think that the statement that came out of the Chinese this morning it's a telling sign, because yesterday that calm, appeasing approach towards India and that conciliatory tone, as well as the comment about China, was very telling. Because as I said on yesterday's program, Imran and Imran's chief minister in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Pervez Khattak, have always caused problems for the CPEC.
Yes.
They have caused a lot of problems in the Chinese meetings as well. Of course, a sit-in was one of them. And so I wonder whether in a year's time people are going to remember my words, but I do think that somewhere when Imran had signed on the dotted line with the establishment, he has had to promise them certain conditions or conditional rise to power, and that is very concerning. Could it be through legislation? Could it be some sort of major handover through legislation of the Foreign Office and foreign policy in regards to the CPEC, even maybe the Afghan policy? And that is what I think that is going to be a real test for his political career as a prime minister, and it doesn't look very encouraging. And of course, we've had this barrage of insulting articles from the US. I mean, a very disparaging article in the Washington Post this morning, the Times of London, the cartoon. So, I mean, nobody is, like I said yesterday, they're not fooling anyone. And I think that it's intentional, that they wanted a clear message out there that if you want to come into power, this is the only way we will allow you to bat. One of the things that has been said by the European Observer this morning, and when he was questioned, and the way it was questioned, the way the journalists have changed their tune almost in a matter of hours, also shows that they're very scared of the fascism, not only of Imran as an individual, the party collectively, but also of the intelligence agencies.
Right.
So everyone is being very careful. Loyalties have changed almost in like in a snap. And the observation was very clearly made by the European gentleman, saying that the 2018 elections were not as good as the 2013 elections.
In fact, he also said
these observations
that
and these reservations are coming out, and not only coming out.
Reham, he also says that significant efforts were made to undermine the ruling party's chances beforehand, and that the Election Monitoring Commission of the EU didn't observe rigging on the day itself. So I suppose that is a sentiment that you agree with as well, that even though there might not have been demonstration of rigging on the day of the election, there were concerted efforts made to undermine the chances of parties like the PMLN.
Well, I mean, I think that the pre-engineering that we talked about, you know, the maneuvering, the manipulating, the fragmentation of PMLN, the buying of MPs and electables. Other than that, I think what happened on the day is, and I'm going to be very, very open about it, and this is something that needs to be said. And this is what I say, that there is going to be that fascist concerns that local journalists might have, and I can see the change in the Twitter timelines also, is that they don't want to risk boycott. They don't want to risk, obviously he's in power now, and there is a very strong force behind him, so they have to watch what they say. We don't have to be that careful. I think what happened on the day was that when the polling was going ahead, everything went very smoothly, so people didn't have any problems, and many people have reported that actually the polling process on the day was carried out smoothly, and the forces, the army and the establishment actually helped the process, and it was done in a very orderly and a very helpful and cooperative fashion. What I am saying is that once the polling was complete, so post 6 o'clock, what happened was the polling agents were thrown out, the people who were manning the polling stations were thrown out, doors were shut, and the mystery around how the result was withheld, and this was supposed to be first announced at 2 a.m. Pakistan Standard Time, then it was delayed. There's been a lot of mystery surrounding that, and also some videos leaking on social media where we've seen ballot boxes being delivered, some of them in PTI vans. So the suggestion is that there was not only pre-poll engineering but also post-poll manipulation. And I wouldn't, you see, because the result is just so unbelievable. For central Punjab to vote like that, it is virtually impossible, because we know. And then equally, we've had some very encouraging polling day percentages come out. So it's I think looking just below the 2013 voter turnout, and these are the ECP's figures. So if that was the case, and there was a concerted effort by the PMLN to bring out people, and we did see a lot of people queuing up to vote, I find it very hard to believe that they wouldn't be voting for, say, Hamza Shehbaz or Khwaja Saad Rafiq or Khwaja Asif. These are safe seats. Right. So I can believe that there might be, say, a popular wave for Imran, but I'm not willing to believe that the main safe seats were just taken away. And the margin is very, very small. 300, 400 votes. It sounds very suspicious. Okay, and it's not just the PMLN that's crying foul. The PPP too has raised questions about the result. I'll come to you more on Punjab and the likely alliances that might form there. But before I do that, I want to mention also the fact that India's former head of India's Election Commission, the poll panel, Dr. S.Y. Qureshi, he was one of the observers there in Pakistan. He denies charges of rigging altogether as well. He spoke with us a while earlier. What do you have to say to that? I think that obviously now that he's been elected, and this is diplomacy as well, and I think that having someone who has a bit of an erratic temperament and has been very, people have to be very careful. They have to work with this Prime Minister, and if we already have an idea that he has an extremist tilt, if we already have an idea that there's been some very clear India bashing in the run up to the elections, I think that people have to be naturally careful. I'm not for a minute suggesting that the Chief Election Commissioner, the former Chief Election Commissioner of India, is being overtly diplomatic here, but I'm also saying that maybe what was shown to him was just a few polling stations. And again, I bring you back to the point I made earlier, that actually the polling process was fine. and which is why the PMLN looked very comfortable. I mean, the figures that were coming out from PMLN sources at the time, they were sitting back quite chilled out, actually. They could not imagine this result. They were very happy with their efforts. They were very happy that they were going to retain central Punjab. They were very happy with their performance, and they had no, they were not unduly concerned. So whatever happened has happened after polling closed, and that might not have been, that wasn't observed by anyone. That remains a mystery, like many other things in Pakistan, like the assassination of Benazir Bhutto remains a mystery in Pakistan.
It does. It's been 10 years and no arrests or any sort of headway has been made in that direction either. Coming back to Punjab, Reham, what are the likely alliance combinations in your opinion? Shehbaz Sharif has said very categorically that the PMLN will form government in Punjab, but the PTI isn't too far behind when it comes to the numbers.
Well, I think there is a little bit of confusion, and once again, I think that Shehbaz Sharif needed to show a little bit more leadership, and that's the problem when you have too many leaders. Initially, what I was very confused about was that if I was the PMLN, if I was Shehbaz Sharif and my brother and my niece had taken, a huge step. This is quite an unusual step for anyone to take, to go into, to present themselves to the prison authorities and to be jailed like this. I would have gone on an agitational sort of route, and I would be very right in doing that. So a lot of people have been criticizing Shehbaz Sharif for not doing that, and he's not known to be one who is very, he's known to be the mellow one, he's known to be the diplomatic one, that's his personality type. But from a leader, now that he's in a leadership role with Maryam Nawaz locked away and Nawaz Sharif not on the scene, that was expected. And I think a protest by the PPP, by the JUIF, as well as Shehbaz Sharif, a combined protest would have made sense. But of course, I'm not privy to what's happening behind closed doors. And I think what was probably happening was that Shehbaz Sharif was trying to get a little bit more sort of, shall we say, share in the government, because of course all the seats from Punjab were taken away from them. And we've seen that calm, collected approach and perhaps some sort of, behind the scenes pressure tactics have worked. And so we've seen a continually rise in the fortunes of PMLN since the first results were allowed and announced. So I think that now the PMLN are looking a little bit more comfortable in Punjab, but there's a confusion because Khwaja Saad Rafiq clearly wants to not only be sitting in government in Punjab, but he's been very vocal about it. But equally, we've heard from PMLN sources that Khwaja Saad Rafiq might become the opposition leader in Punjab. So we hear conflicting sources and conflicting news coming from the PMLN camp. One source reiterates that Shehbaz Sharif has been asked by the older brother to sit in opposition. And that makes sense because, you see, sitting in opposition would mean that they're not accepting the result, that they have reservations about the result. Sitting in Punjab government probably suits Shehbaz Sharif, and I think that they are right to ask that there is a popular mandate, at least in Punjab. For Imran, it doesn't suit him politically. I mean, he doesn't really tend to show political foresight, but I think it would be a trap for Imran to go into Punjab as a party in government, because there will be a very vocal, very strong opposition with just a few seats less than them. And I think it will be very, very tricky to run Punjab. But, when people want the cake, they want all of it. So I think it would be ill-advised, but I think Imran is going to go for the government position. And there will be another problem there, because there's just so many CM candidates. And I can tell you that an inside source tells me that these hopefuls for the Chief Minister Punjab position, there are just so many and have been waiting for this for so long that there might be quite a few measures and quite a few bits and pieces of lobbying going on for a very long time.
Right.
So I think Imran is going to be, whoever he chooses as the Chief Minister of Punjab, he is going to have a lot of problems, a lot more problems than domestic issues. There are a lot of very vocal people in his party who all want to be the Chief Minister of Punjab.
Okay, so he's got a difficult team to lead going ahead. Maybe his experience as a cricket captain might come in handy on that note. We're going to have to wrap up on that note as well. Reham Khan, thank you for joining us through the elections, for bringing us your insight into Pakistan and, of course, its politics. In fact, with that, it's curtains on our special coverage of the Pakistan elections 2018. We hope you enjoyed what you got to watch. This is me, Aisha Sindhu, signing off for now. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.